Jason stepped out of his father's sleek black sedan, his crisp school uniform a stark contrast to the dusty streets around him. As he adjusted his designer watch, his eyes landed on a familiar face, Emma, his quiet classmate, standing by a corner. She held a tray of snacks, her hands trembling slightly as she called out to passing strangers, her voice almost lost in the city's chaos. Jason smirked, pulling out his phone. "Emma? Selling snacks? Oh, this is golden," he said, laughing as he recorded her. Her cheeks flushed as she noticed him. "Jason, please don't," she pleaded. "This is how I pay for my school fees. I don't have a choice." But her words only fueled his mockery. "Poor, filthy Emma," he jeered. "Wait till everyone at school sees this." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she bit her lip and turned away, focusing on her tray. Jason walked off, still chuckling as Emma's quiet determination shone through her despair. The next morning, Jason walked into the school bathroom and heard a soft voice. Curious, he peered in to see Emma standing in front of the mirror, whispering to herself. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice laced with ridicule. Emma didn't flinch. "I'm talking to myself." He scoffed. "Talking to yourself? You're not even ashamed to look at that mirror?" She turned to face him, her voice steady. "No, I'm not. When I look in the mirror, I see a beautiful and successful woman. I see someone who won't let people like you define her." Jason rolled his eyes. "Good luck with that. My dad owns a company worth millions. People like you can dream, but you'll never be anything more than a beggar." Emma's resolve faltered for a moment, but she quickly straightened up. "That's fine, Jason. I don't need your approval." He laughed as he left, but her quiet confidence lingered in the air, refusing to be crushed by his words. Years rolled by and life moved on. Jason, once the spoiled son of a wealthy businessman, now found himself pacing in a small, cluttered apartment. His father, Mr. Collins, sat hunched over at the dining table, his hands clutching a stack of bills. "Dad, we'll figure it out," Jason said, his voice uneasy. Mr. Collins sighed deeply. "We lost everything, Jason. My company went bankrupt because of poor decisions. And you only added to the mess." Jason's stomach churned. His carefree days were a distant memory, replaced by relentless guilt. "I'll fix it, Dad," he promised. But Mr. Collins shook his head. "It's too late. I sold the company." Jason's head shot up. "Sold it? To who?" Just then, the sound of heels echoed through the hallway. Jason turned to see a poised woman stepping into the room. She exuded confidence, her tailored suit and commanding presence a stark contrast to the girl he once ridiculed. "Emma?" Jason blurted out, his voice filled with disbelief. She smiled faintly. "Hello, Mr. Collins." "Jason?" Jason's brows furrowed. "What are you doing here? Did Dad hire another cleaner?" Emma's smile didn't waver. "No, Jason. I bought your father's company." Jason's jaw dropped. "You bought it? How is that possible?" Emma turned to Mr. Collins, her voice calm. "Your company was on the brink of collapse, and I saw an opportunity. I've built a successful enterprise over the years, and acquiring your business was a strategic decision." Jason's mind raced. The girl he had mocked relentlessly, the girl he had called a beggar, now stood before him as his superior. "But I didn't know," he stammered, his voice barely audible. Emma raised a brow. "Didn't know what? That hard work and resilience can lead to success? Or that mocking someone doesn't determine their worth?" Jason lowered his gaze, shame burning through him. "Emma, I'm sorry for the way I treated you." Her expression softened slightly, but her voice remained firm. "Jason, I don't hold grudges. But I hope you've learned that judging someone's worth by their circumstances is a mistake." Later that evening, Jason stood in front of his mirror, a place he had always associated with vanity and arrogance. For the first time, he saw himself differently. Not the entitled boy he once was, but someone humbled by life's lessons. He whispered the words Emma had once said, "I see a better person. And I'll work to become him." In a small office across town, Emma stood before her own mirror. She smiled, no longer needing to remind herself of her worth. She had become everything she had ever dreamed of, and more.